Hey art fans, thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so very much. Also, if you want to get a drawing from me, click the link down below. I do commissions. And if you want to learn how to pitch shows, ideas, concepts, all those cool things that you're creating, you got them in your room, you got them in your office, you know what to do with them. You want to know how to pitch them to a big entertainment company and maybe make some money, you want to get my new book, Mad Hustle. It's all about my 30 years in Hollywood, how I pitched my shows, and how you can take the step-by-step approach, learn how to pitch your shows in Hollywood as well. So get Mad Hustle, click the link down below. Okay, today's video is about creating a great cartoon protagonist. First of all, Mr. Cameraman.
Yes.
I just need to know before I do anything, what does protagonist mean?
It is the leading character one of the major characters in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text.
Okay, so it's the hero.
It can be a hero.
Well, exactly. So it can be the hero. I mean, it could be the hero or just the main character.
Just the main character.
For example, like example over here, Luke Skywalker is a protagonist.
Yes.
Right? Or even Han Solo could be kind of a mini protagonist, like a secondary protagonist. He's kind of a side hero. You could also have Danny Phantom as one. You have Wonder Woman. She's a protagonist, right? You have Pinocchio. That's one. Cinderella. Right? John Wick, he's a protagonist.
He's also John, yep.
Now, but you have to go, is John Wick the hero or is he an anti-hero? Because he does things to people that aren't like super heroic. But he's fighting for something, right? Captain America, he's a protagonist.
Is he?
So many protagonists. And so how do you create a great one? Any questions about that? You got any questions about that?
Yeah, for example, how do you make a character's motivation a good motivation that'll carry that protagonist through the rest of the story and still have it be interesting?
Fantastic question. Like a great way to start a protagonist is to, first of all, we have to wonder, a protagonist has to be somebody or even an animal that the audience can relate to. Like, you know, a great example of a great protagonist is Nemo from Finding Nemo. He is a fish, but the thing about it is he's a personified fish. He's got the qualities of a human being. He can talk, he can think, you know, like a human. But what is it about Nemo that people like? Nemo is lost, you know, and everyone can relate to being lost at some time in their life. You're either lost physically in a location or you feel lost spiritually, like you don't know where your next move is going to be, you don't know where your friends are, who are my friends, why don't I have any, you know, that sort of thing. You need to come up with a protagonist and a motivation that people can relate to. Loss is always a great thing. The movie's even called Finding Nemo. Not only is Nemo lost, his father has lost his son. So that's a great example of a character arc that involves loss and then finding the reward at the end. Raiders of the Lost Ark is another great example of a protagonist who's looking for something. Indiana Jones is constantly looking for something, hunting for something. But the one thing he's really looking for is himself. That was deep.
Was
that deep?
Mm-hmm.
That was deep. Whoa! I'm back. Whew, that was weird. Okay, a good protagonist is someone who the audience can relate to, and they have to have a goal or a motivation people can relate to. Finding something, losing something, wanting to be something that they're not, learning something. Spider-Man is sort of like that. Tobey Maguire. He is a nerdy kid, no friends. He has a great loving uncle and aunt, but he gets these powers. He becomes super cool. He gets all these accolades, but then he loses his uncle. And so it's a great character arc for Spider-Man because now you know he's got this loss and he's promised his uncle that he would do something great with his powers instead of just make money. So, you know, Spider-Man's been around for 60 years now, and so you see how good character motivations can carry a character from generation to generation because everybody can relate to those characters. So, any other questions, Mr. Cameraman?
Is a protagonist dependent on their antagonist at all?
Is a protagonist dependent on the antagonist? Now, what is the term for antagonist? You got that at the ready?
An antagonist is a person who actively opposes or is hostile to someone or something, an adversary.
Ooh, an adversary. So you're not my adversary right now.
I mean, I can be.
No, I don't want you to be. No, I'd rather you be nice right now. Let's be friends.
Okay, sure.
So, protagonist, you got Batman, antagonist, you got the Joker. They both have equal motivations though. What does each character want? They both want something. Batman wants to get rid of crime, and the Joker wants nothing more than to create chaos and mess with Batman. You have Captain America, who wants ultimate justice and goodness and safety for the innocent. And then you have Thanos, who wants to make the universe cleaner and run more smoothly by eradicating half of it. So they both have their own motivations. Which one is the villain? We know Thanos is the villain because he's killing people, but he still has this incredible motivation that you're like, well, I can sort of see him wanting to keep things in order, but can we do it without killing everybody? So your antagonist is the bad person and your protagonist is the good person. So your question is the protagonist dependent on the antagonist? I guess it depends on their relationship. Sometimes the protagonist really gets kind of boring unless they have something to do. A hero that's perfect, a hero that is completely self-reliant with no problems can get boring for an audience. So you having a good antagonist in there can actually make the story better and give the protagonist something to fight against and even create growth in that antagonist, which is really, really a lot of fun to see when it's done properly.
So a protagonist is dependent on an antagonist.
I would say a protagonist is probably dependent on an antagonist, yes, because you want to have that hero grow. What I love, Stan Lee always said, a hero is only a hero when he's at the very bottom and he has to overcome every obstacle to get back to the top. Like, I'll just be very honest. I'm a Superman fan, but Superman's a little boring because Superman can beat anybody and he's the strongest character ever. They had to create kryptonite for Superman and they got to keep creating these stronger and stronger characters to fight Superman. Whereas Batman has a lot more challenge fighting people because he's a normal man. Spider-Man's the same way. Even though he's a super-powered character, he's got the problems of a teenager. So having those villains come at him makes him more interesting as his character arc grows and he battles those villains.
An antagonist doesn't necessarily have to be another character, another person. It can be other forces, right?
Yeah, an antagonist does not have to be a person either. You know, if you look at Star Wars, the Death Star is a giant antagonist. It's like, uh-oh, you have Darth Vader who kind of runs and operates the Death Star, but the Death Star is this giant thing hanging over people that can actually be an antagonist if you really think about it, you know? Yeah, in the movie Armageddon, the meteor is sort of the antagonist because you've got to defeat this ultimate force before it destroys the Earth. You know, so there's those types of antagonists. Yes, antagonists can be people, they can also be forces of nature or any other force that's inside of a character as well. The Hulk, in a way. Bruce Banner, is he the hero or the antagonist? Because we like seeing more of him, Bruce Banner or the Hulk. Yes, the Hulk is destructive and scary, but he's ultimately a hero because he defeats the bad people. So, you know, you have to really learn how to balance those character arcs. If you're going to become a really good writer, how would you write a character like the Hulk? Is he a villain or is he a good guy? You need to figure those things out.
How many protagonists can be put into a story effectively?
Ooh. That's a very good question. Now, it all depends on the writer. It all depends on the writer of the story and how good they are at weaving those character moments into the story. If you look at a movie like, let's just say, Avengers, you have 30 characters in that in each movie because they're team movies, you know. The audience isn't going to care about them unless you have time to spend with them. You can even look at this example. You have the Avengers movies and you have the Justice League movie. Now, the Avengers was built as a group movie only after doing most of those characters as solo movies. You know, you had the Captain America movies, you had the Iron Man movies, you had the Thor movies, and then they put them in a group movie. And then we saw the group turn into a group. We had Black Widow in there, we had Bruce Banner as the Hulk, we had all that stuff. So we got to see those characters bond together and become a family because we knew a lot about them already from the other movies. Whereas Justice League kind of just launched us into the Justice League. Yes, we had a Superman movie, Man of Steel, we had a couple, and we had a Batman versus Superman movie, but those movies weren't as character driven as they were more action driven, I guess you would say. They weren't as well received as the Avengers movies, and Wonder Woman actually had her own movie as well. Wonder Woman's movie was a great movie, I thought. It was a fantastic film, and fortunately they had her in the movie as well, so the audience could really relate to her. But for some reason they couldn't pull Justice League together as well as they pulled the Avengers movies together. So you see where those two movies differentiate. Also, with the Star Wars films, the early Star Wars movies from the 1970s and 80s had these great characters, you know, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, some of the greatest characters of all time. And then later on, when they were done by other people, even those great characters weren't done well because either the writers or producers or whoever didn't handle them properly, didn't give them those character moments, didn't give them those meaningful moments that we always wanted to see again from the first time we saw those characters. Like, I can't believe out of the 3 Disney Star Wars movies, there wasn't one scene with Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker together on screen. Out of 3 major movies, they didn't put them together on screen one time. Those are moments the audience really wants to see because we get familiar with those characters. So how many protagonists can you put in a movie? How many antagonists can you put in a movie? As many as you want, provided you spend time with them and give the audience time to get to know them.
How important is a protagonist supporting cast?
How important is a protagonist supporting cast? I think they're super important. I think you need to have that support because the protagonist can't carry everything. Sometimes they can. If you look at Tom Hanks in Castaway, he carries that entire movie pretty much because he's on that island all by himself. If you have a really strong protagonist and a really strong actor portraying them, you can really pull it off. But those movies are few and far between. But I think you need to have a great cast underneath the protagonist to support them. Indiana Jones had a great cast underneath him. You know, you had Marion, you have, even in later movies, his dad, Sean Connery, Marcus, the bumbling museum curator. And Batman, you have Alfred, you have Catwoman, who's a antagonist, but also kind of a love interest, you know. In Star Wars, you have Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, C-3PO, R2-D2. You have all of these characters that really build and give the audience layers to love and give the audience something to fall back on when the protagonist can't carry the story. So building a great cast of characters is a huge asset for any writer and any storyteller. So, you know, look at some great stories. I mean, look at some of your favorite stories out there and look at who the protagonist is, who the supporting characters are, and why it works or why it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work is just as important as why it does work. Why isn't it working? And, you know, make a note of that so you can avoid those mistakes when you write something amazing. So there you go. Anything else, Mr. Cameraman? Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of time. As you can see, this clock doesn't have any hands on it, so we're out of time. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining. Any other questions about anything?
Yeah, well, the clock doesn't have hands, but why does it have feet?
I don't know. That's just it's just a weird clock that we rented, and the feet don't smell that great, by the way. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this helps you. I want to give you guys more insight to writing and filmmaking and storytelling and things like that, animation. So please let me know what I can do to add to your list of things you want to know. I'd love to tell you guys more things. So let me know down in the comment section what you want to hear more about. And as always, don't forget art and great protagonists and antagonists. Give you power. Use it wisely.
Hey Heart fans, subscribe here to keep up with me, Danny, Timmy, Dudley, Bunsen.
Click here to check out my other YouTube channel, the NOOG Network.
Click over here to watch my most recent video and here to start a playlist related to this video. Whoa, check out that awesome fan art. To be featured here, use hashtag HeartFanArt and tag me. I'm on every social media platform known to man. Cartoon Butch out. Pencil drop.